Perthshire Online TV has a very special guest. We're delighted to be joined by Dr John Hulbert, who is the Provost of Perth. Provost, welcome to the studio.
Thank you very much.
Well, first of all, congratulations on the city status. How do you feel from a personal perspective about this? Because, as we understand, for your 5 years in office, you've personally championed the initiative for us regaining city status. What did it mean to you from a personal perspective?
Well, it meant a huge amount. I was absolutely delighted to hear last Wednesday that we'd won, but it's been a long build-up, and it's been a lot of work, and it's been very, very rewarding. Not just because we achieved the city status, but I think there's a great deal was achieved on the way, and I'm very pleased with it and quite proud of it.
So from a business perspective, you know, I'm sure lots of the business people in Perth and Perthshire are delighted that we've regained the city status. What do you think it means to Perth and Perthshire from a business perspective, with us regaining that?
Well, I think from the business perspective, it's becoming more and more important for us, for Perth to be a city. Following the last election, the government appointed Nicola Sturgeon, the Deputy Prime Minister, to be Deputy First Minister, to be the Minister for Cities. And if I could quote here from Leslie Sawers, the Chief Executive of SCDI, she said, Scotland's cities are the economic, cultural, social and intellectual powerhouses of Scotland. They are distinct and different, but their success is essential to Scotland's long-term future. And then, if I can continue with a press release from the CSPP, the Centre for Scottish Public Policy, this centre looks forward to working with the 6 cities and candidate city Perth, helping to shape the way ahead with challenging ideas, policy innovations, such as an infrastructure investment fund, which we've been championing this year. The fact is that in Scotland's policies are focusing on the cities. And we were last year a candidate city, and that was recognised, and we were included in some of what was happening, but not in any finance that was coming the way of cities, but we were included at the sort of policy level. Had we not been successful, that would have been dropped. There are the 6 cities initiative, a whole lot of things happening for the 6 cities, and the government, the Scottish Government, is developing the 6 cities, the way they interact together, the individual policies for different cities, the interconnectivity, and so on. It's absolutely vital that we are part of that network.
And strategic for us moving forward.
Strategic for us moving forward. We would have been moving backwards had we not been successful. So I'm delighted that we have been successful, and it's now up to the new council, once it's elected in May, to take this forward, and I'm absolutely certain that it will.
And it's a busy year. 2012 is a very busy year. There's lots of things on. There's been a lot of announcements over the past few weeks. What do you see some of the key highlights over the next 6 to 9 months?
Well, the 2 key highlights will be the huge celebration of the Queen's Diamond Jubilee on the 2nd of June. We will have 1,000 pipers marching through Perth. Now, we've had mass pipe bands in the past, but never more than 200 or 300. To have 1,000 pipers marching through Perth will be a major spectacle.
I think it'll be a very proud moment for us all as well.
Very proud for Perth. So that'll be in the morning of the Saturday the 2nd of June. Then we have the big lunch, which is down in the North Inch, where the pipers will eventually finish their march, with marquees and a big stage. Music provided by Perth's many musical organisations, Perth Youth Orchestra, Perth Choral, Perth Symphony Orchestra, Perth Brass Band, the various other bands that we have in Perth, Fair City Singers, Jamboree Choir. All these organisations will be involved in the music. And then in the afternoon there will be the kilt run, which you'll be aware, or many people will be aware, that in 2010 Perth and Ontario established a kilt run a race over 8 kilometres, 1 kilometre for every 100 years of Perth's history, and the whole thing dedicated to their mother city here in Scotland. And the Kilt Run was established there, and they issued a challenge to us in Perth to beat their record of 1,089 runners in 2010. We intend to beat that hand over fist, and hopefully we'll have something between 1,500 and 2,000 runners. They will run an 8 kilometre course from starting in the North Inch, round the North Inch, along Tay Street, round the South Inch, and then back along Tay Street to the North Inch. So it'll be a grand spectacle in the centre of Perth for the Kilt Run as well. So that'll be a major event on the 2nd of June. And then, of course, in the first week of July, and we don't know yet exactly which day it will be, Her Majesty the Queen will be visiting Perth. I have to say that when it was announced that she was definitely coming to Perth, which was several weeks ago now, we all thought that was a pretty good indicator that Perth had won city status, because would she have come if we hadn't? But anyway, there was no certainty to it at that time, but she is coming, and a programme has been developed for her. She'll be visiting the college. There'll be a ceremony, there'll be a parade along along Tay Street, a ceremony at the dais, and then she's having lunch in the in Scone Palace.
Fantastic.
So,
and Tay Street's looking very vibrant at the moment as well, with all the banners to celebrate the Ganachie Trust.
Well, I know
75 year anniversary.
Ganachie Trust 75th anniversary, all coming together at the one time. It's also the 50th anniversary of the Perth Youth Orchestra. So there's a number of anniversaries this year which are important to Perth and which will be celebrated in some style.
So, Provost, it's the end of year. Nearing the end of your 5-year term in office, and
yes,
you know, on behalf, I think, of Perthshire, thank you and for leading such a good office over the past 5 years. If you look back from a personal perspective, what would you see as some of the main highlights from your perspective that you've thought that was really good? It was good for Perth, or that was great because I really enjoyed that.
Well, I think perhaps the one day out of the 5 years that will always stick in my memory is the St Andrew's Day 2010, which was the culmination of the Perth 800 programme, celebrating Perth's 800 years of history. We had a number of events that day, including the inauguration, could hardly say unveiling, of the famous grouse at Broxden. And most important, we had a conference for cheetah slow, which is important for Perth as well, on that day. But we had various other competitions for schools which came to a climax on that day, and all the events in the centre of town with the lights and the light night celebrations which were put on by Scottish and Southern. And finally, of course, the firework display in the evening across the Tay. Never ever seen fireworks like that in Perth before. Absolutely atmospheric, and the Perthshire Youth Orchestra and the brass band playing down on Tay Street. And at the climax of the fireworks, the snow started to fall.
I remember.
And it didn't stop.
I remember the evening very well.
Yes.
I lived just along by the North Inch, so I had the most atmospheric view right onto the bridge
under
the fireworks. But then by 9:30 at night, it was getting whiter and whiter and whiter.
Yeah, it was very, very good. So that would be my great day. On that day as well, we had the parade with Prince Edward, so we've had a great deal. The other royal occasion that I remember particularly was a visit by Prince Charles. He came on June the 2nd, I think, of 2010, and he visited a farmer's market. I accompanied him on that. And Prince Charles was mobbed, absolutely mobbed, and he coped remarkably well. I saw his various security men were looking really quite worried. But it was a very, very successful day, although it was quite wet. But that was a particularly successful day. And then we went after that to a reception in Scone Palace, where Prince Charles went round 200 guests and spoke to every single one. and was very well received. So that was another highlight.
Well, Provost, thank you for your time today.
Been a pleasure.
And congratulations once again on leading the achievement of city status back here in Perth. We thank you.
Thank you very much indeed.